my name is Miss Pam, and I'm from Building Blocks Child Development Center here in Spencer, West Virginia. And I have a book and a project to do with you today. Our book is called The Biggest Christmas Tree Ever. This is our little mice, Desmond, and what was his other one's name? Clayton. Desmond and Clayton. About the biggest pumpkin ever? This is the biggest Christmas tree ever. Okay. Once there were two mice who fell in love with the same Christmas tree, but you had to see it to believe it. Everyone in Mouseville loved Christmas trees. Every Christmas, families all over town put up the biggest, most beautiful tree they could find. But first came Thanksgiving. The day before the celebration, Clayton, the house mouse, took a walk around Mouseville. He knew he should be thinking about giving thanks, but the chill in the air reminded him of Christmas. You know what? He said out loud. This year, I'm going to find the biggest Christmas tree ever. Not far away, Clayton's friend Desmond, the field mouse, said exactly the same thing. That night, Clayton helped his mom and dad, his brother Andy, and his sister Trudy make a special cheese casserole and put a nut pie for Thanksgiving dinner. Over at Desmond's house, Desmond and his brother Morris helped Uncle Vernon fix a big pot of vegetable stew and a cheesesteak cake. Everyone ate much too much. After dinner, Clayton's grandma and grandpa sat in the living room holding their tummies and grumbling. Over at Desmond's, the cousins from across the road stretched out on Uncle Vernon's sofa and took a nap. The following morning, Clayton woke up early. He wanted to be first at Clara's Christmas tree farm at the edge of town. That way, he could have his pick of the biggest trees. Over at Desmond's house, Desmond tumbled out of bed with the same thought. Clayton hurried over to Clara's, but it was hard to go very fast. He was still too full of Thanksgiving dinner. By the time he reached the Christmas tree farm, he was out of breath. He looked around, and no one else was there. Moments later, Desmond arrived. He too was full of Thanksgiving dinner. He too had found it hard to hurry. He took a deep breath and stumbled inside. Clayton wobbled down the rows of trees. Here was a nice one, but it was much too small. There was another tree, but it was squat and had a crooked top. Over there was a third, but it was average height and it had big gaps between the branches. Struggling down another road, Desmond was having the same problem. Clayton leaned against the tree. It was scrawny and not very tall. I'll never find the tree I want, he said. I'd better go home. And not far away, squinting at another tree, Desmond said, I'll never find the tree I want. I'd better go home. When Clayton reached his house, it was only the middle of the morning, but he was still full and he was tired and he fell back into bed. When Desmond reached his house, he too went back to bed. Clayton woke up from lunch and spoke to his dad. Dad said, Go out this afternoon. Walk to the far edge of the Christmas tree farm. The biggest trees are there. When Desmond woke up for lunch, Uncle Vernon told him the same thing. That afternoon, Clayton went out again. At the very same time, Desmond did too. Clayton walked to the far edge of the Christmas tree farm and he looked at one big tree after another. But none of them looked like the biggest Christmas tree ever. Down another path, Desmond was having the same bad luck. Starting to lose hope, Clayton peered around a very thick trunk. Desmond peered around the same thick trunk, and they bumped heads and fell down. I bet you're looking for the biggest Christmas tree ever, said Clayton. I bet you're looking for the biggest Christmas tree ever, said Desmond. Why don't we find it together? said Clayton. No one said we couldn't, said Desmond. They sat out through the rows of trees. They looked and looked until it was almost dark. Just as they were ready to give up, there it was. A Christmas tree so big and so tall it reached the sky. My goodness. How will we cut it down? Clayton asked. It's much too big for the two of us. Where will we put it? Desmond added. It won't fit in your house or mine. Clayton and Desmond smiled. Our families will help us, they said together. And that is what happened. Clayton's dad and Uncle Vernon came out with their axes, and with the help of Clayton and Desmond, they chopped down the giant tree. Both families called on friends and relations, and together they loaded the tree onto 100 red wagons and pulled it to Clayton's front yard. Then they decorated it with the most wonderful ornaments and colored lights. And on Christmas Eve, with all of Mouseville celebrating around it, the biggest Christmas tree ever lit up the entire hillside. Clayton and Desmond shared a high five. We did it, said Clayton. All of us together, said Desmond. The end. I like Clayton and Desmond's stories. All right, well, we're going to build a Christmas tree too, but ours is going to be a little bit smaller than Clayton and Desmond's. All right, I have a piece of green construction paper, and if you notice, there's a lot of ABCs in there, and there's a very faint white line around the outside of it. That's because that's my line that I'm going to trace. When you're tracing lines, then we start tracing things so we can learn how to trace our name. And then we can learn how to do it on our own. We put the top of our marker or our pencil right on the line, and we just kind of follow it like it's a road. And we'll go down this way and in. And we're going to trace our Christmas tree. Down this side. And then down this side. And we're doing the same thing. We're just going to follow our line. Okay. Oh, I had a bump in the table. We're pinching our marker between our finger and our thumb, and it kind of rests on this finger right here. All right, and kind of leans back in our hand. All right, that gives, and our hand goes on the table. That gives us a good support and makes it easier for us to write. So we're going to trace our tree all the way down, and there we've got it traced. And now you see all these lowercase letters on my Christmas tree. That's because my uppercase letters are going to be my ornaments. Now I have all my letters written on these little circles, and we're going to shake them up. And we're going to put them in a pile over here. And we're going to pick one out. And we're going to see what it is. That is the letter Y. And then we have to find the lowercase y. And right there it is. And put our circle on. Alright. Here's our uppercase L. And we'll start here at the top of the tree. And find our lowercase L right there. Alright. Our next letter is O. So, we're going to go down through here till we find our lowercase o. Then we have, the letter Q. The letter Q is just like the O, except it has a line in it. Okay, but the lowercase q doesn't look anything like the uppercase Q. It's kind of hard to find. It's right here, but see, it's very different looking. Alright, and then we have a W. We'll peel it off, and let's find us a W. Right there it is. Now we have an A. Let's find our lowercase a, and it is right there. And here's our uppercase I. Peel it off, and it is right there. here's an H. Find our lowercase h. Where's it at? It's all the way down here on the bottom. And here's a J. Let's find our lowercase j. Wait, there it is. And here's our K. And our uppercase K and our lowercase k look exactly alike. One's just a little bit bigger than the other one. And here we have our M. And there's our lowercase m. We're going to cover it up. We're making our Christmas tree. Oh, here's an S. Now the uppercase S and lowercase s, it looks exactly alike too. Some letters are the same. There it is. Some are different. Alright, our next letter is U. And I saw it right there. A lowercase u. Now we have the letter P. And the uppercase P and the lowercase p look exactly alike. One's just smaller than the other one. And here's a B. The uppercase B and the lowercase b look a little bit alike, but it has uppercase B has an extra bubble. Okay, and here's our C. And it is exactly like its lowercase letter right there. And our next letter is a D. Now the lowercase d doesn't look like uppercase D at all. So let's see if we can find it. That's it right there. That's the uppercase D and that's the lowercase d. And here's another letter. The uppercase letter and the lowercase letter don't look anything alike. This right there is uppercase E and a lowercase e. And here's the letter F. Now the uppercase F and the lowercase f look almost alike, but where the uppercase left has straight lines, the lowercase has a little bit of a curved line on top. And here we have the letter G. G is another one that the uppercase letter and the lowercase letter don't look the same. Okay, so this is the uppercase G and this is a lowercase g. That one there. And here we have an N and another one that the uppercase and lowercase don't look very much alike. See, but that's the uppercase and that's the lowercase. Our next letter is T. Now the uppercase T has two lines and the lowercase t has two lines. One is at the top and this one is at the middle. But that is your lowercase t. Okay, and then we have an X. Now the uppercase X and the lowercase x, they're exactly alike. One's just smaller. And then we have an R. Now uppercase R and lowercase r look a lot different. And it is right there. And then we have one more dot. And that is a V. And that's another one that the uppercase V and the lowercase v look exactly alike. Now we have one more letter that's clear up here. And it's a little tiny letter and it is a Z. And I just happen to have a star for the top of my tree with a Z on it. We can cut it out. We're just going to cut on the outside lines. Sometimes there's lines here and there and everywhere, and you're like, what line do I cut? But most usually, you're going to cut the outside lines. See the little lines in the middle of our star? We're not going to cut those, because if we do, we won't have a star anymore. And look at that. I peeled the bottom off my star. My sticker broke. Well, we will just stick it back on there. Sometimes that happens. Okay, and then it flips off again. So we'll cut our star out because I didn't have any stars in my bag that I could write on. So I had to make my own star, and we'll make it and put it right there on top. And the uppercase Z and the lowercase z is another letter that looks exactly alike. It's just a different size. And there we go. We made a Christmas tree with ornaments that have all of our ABCs on them. All right, so there we go. It's not the biggest Christmas tree ever, but hey, we made it ourselves. I still got stickers stuck to my fingers. So, all right, well, that is it for me. I hope you had fun. I hope you learned a little bit about your ABCs and how some of the uppercase and lowercase letters look exactly alike, and some of them don't look like the uppercase letter at all. Some of them are very different looking, but that's something to learn. Okay? There we go. There's your Christmas tree. I hope you had fun, and I hope you have a Merry Christmas, and I'll see you next time. Bye.